Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Viper's Nest, where we talk about obscure lore. Today we're talking about Resident Evil, the novels specifically, which, not actually as obscure as I thought they were back in the day, weirdly enough.
I think they were obscure, they seemed obscure to us because we lived in fucking Nikiski, Alaska.
Yeah, that's true.
So we didn't really know anybody else who read them.
Yeah. But no, it turns out that, the Resident Evil fan base is kind of divided 50-50 on whether they like or hate the books. But I found out the books are actually still in print to this very day.
Oh, you can buy new copies of them and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess if they're still printing them, they're still pretty damn popular then.
I wonder if, like, I don't know, Capcom or something bought the books, and so they're just like, yeah, we have this, may as well put it out there for people to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the author, S.D. Perry, I actually read an interview with her from back in, the mid-2000s after they canceled the novel series, and she was actually perfectly happy to keep cranking them out for as long as people kept wanting to read them, but Capcom was like, those novels aren't really canon anymore, so we're just going to stop there.
So Capcom owned the rights and everything to the book to begin with? Okay,
yep.
And they got them published. All right. Well, that especially with the kind of... I guess it never... Resident Evil never really became unpopular, but I mean, I guess there's been kind of a huge resurgence in it lately with the two newer games and the remakes and stuff, so...
Yeah.
I mean, why not have them out there for people to read?
Yeah, the reason they stopped doing the books as a whole was, because those books were being written and published in a time before Resident Evil 4, and then Resi 4 came out and established that the stuff in the books is not canon, so they just kind of stopped having them written at that point. Yeah. Which I can understand why, because, having played Resi 4, a couple months back again, that game in particular I feel like would be a really hard game to actually translate into book form with all of the ridiculous shenanigans that goes on there.
Yeah, you'd kind of have to tone it down a lot more.
Your right hand comes off?
I mean, he could still have that, but...
Yeah, but running from boulders and backflipping through laser grids and all that kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting out of the way of a boulder once would be fine.
Yeah.
But the laser grid thing is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's not like he doesn't do even more ridiculous shit in the movies and everything, too.
Yeah.
So, I guess, but up to that point, the characters weren't. They were human.
Yeah.
They weren't fucking Spider-Man.
Exactly. So, I mean, do we want to go through the books in the order they were published, or, chronologically, event-wise?
I guess chronologically.
Okay.
Would make more sense.
Alright, well, then the first one up is Resident Evil 0 Hour, the novelization of Resident Evil 0.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want about the game. It's not great, but the book actually wasn't all that bad from what I actually remember.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I read these books. A couple of years ago, I went through and read through them all again, but now it's been a couple of years, so I don't remember a whole ton about all of them in general, but I know Andy probably remembers more than me and can jog my memory.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fairly faithful recreation of the events of the game, but the only real difference is that there's a little bit more dialogue and character development between Rebecca and Billy, which kind of didn't happen in the game. I think Billy got all of one scene where he actually talks about his background and why he got arrested by the military police for some screwed up shit he did down in, I think, South America or something like that.
Say what he did ever?
He didn't actually do it, but his unit wiped out a village of essentially innocent people.
Okay, the classic thing.
Yeah, because they'd been cut off in the jungle for, I think, a couple of weeks at that point. They were running low on supplies, so everyone was all, tweaked out and dehydrated and hungry and just generally pissed off. And then they find a village, and this village, while the people were innocent, they had been, I guess, like harboring some militant terrorists or some shit like that. So the commander of Billy's unit just like, just kill them all, just gun them all down where they stand. And Billy's like, well, I mean, we shouldn't really do that. So they just kind of knock his ass out. And then when they get out, they're like, he did it.
Yeah. He killed the whole village by himself.
The whole thing. Yeah, it was him. I mean, we tried to stop him. That's why we knocked him out. But he did it. So there was no one left to say otherwise. So off to jail he went, where he was going to be executed. And then as he was getting driven to the place he was going to be executed, the zombie dogs attacked, and then that leads to him going to the train, which Rebecca had also gotten on with, I think it wasn't Richard. It was some other member of Stars Bravo team that I can't fucking remember. And then, the whole of the game happened. Rebecca meets Billy, they go through the train, the Umbrella training compound, the labs, fight the big leech man, which was not a man at all. It was a leech queen pretending to be a leech man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leech stuff was interesting.
Yeah, the leech stuff was actually really fucking cool. And that was,
It's very perturbing.
Yeah, that was James Marcus that was doing that stuff, which was,
Classic James Marcus.
Classic James Marcus and his leeches, you know what I'm saying?
His legion of leeches.
Yeah, but he was Spencer's partner when they started up the pharmaceutical part of Umbrella, and he's like, no, we can do some dope shit with leeches, and then Spencer was like, yes, but viruses.
Yeah.
So then it actually ended up that Spencer sent old Willie Burke and Wesker to assassinate James Marcus, and then I guess the leeches absorbed his consciousness into the hive mind.
Yeah, that's what generally happens with leeches.
Yeah, and then, he turns into young James Marcus, and he's being a real fucking weirdo singing opera on top of a mountain while the train goes by.
Didn't do that.
Zero was just a weird game. I mean, it was also a weird book, but the book at least tried to kind of make some of the shit in the game make sense.
Contextualize it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not going to say the novel's a shit show, because it was actually very well written with the framework Perry was trying to work in, but God, the game was just fucking all over the place.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever beaten the game, and it's weird how now I feel like they've tried to package and re-release it so many fucking times. Like, they package it with the remake and stuff, and it's like, why? Nobody did. That's the reason, because they were like, well, nobody fucking played it. Somebody play a game.
I wonder why.
We tried really hard. You get to be two people, and it's fun. You have to run around and grab something, give it in a fucking thing to give it to the other person. I promise it's fun and not a chore.
I mean, the first time through, when I beat the game, I actually did have fun with it, but I was also following a guide, so I was, not horrendously lost, and I'm like, wait, where did I drop that key again? Because there's no item boxes in Resident Evil 0. Mm-hmm. You just gotta drop them in a room, and they stay there, and I'm like, I guess I gotta fucking hoof it all the way back to the main room, where I left the fucking key, so I can get the key and take it to the other side of the training facility to unlock... Yeah. Don't try to play that game without a guide. You'll have a bad time.
Yeah.
But the PS4 re-release gave you the ability to play as Wesker, and he had he's not great. He's got a Wesker dash, because you're playing as Resi 5 Wesker.
Right.
And the dash would be cool if you weren't working with static camera angles. Yeah. But he also has the ability to do a death glare eye beam, which that's actually really cool. You just don't have any weapons, and you go into an aiming stance, and his eyes start glowing. He sends out a shockwave from his eyes, because that's a thing Wesker can do totally.
Yeah.
But if you fully charge it up, it can one shot an entire crowd of zombies and do big damage to the other monsters and shit. It really just looks goofy as fuck, because it's just Wesker going.
You know what? I do remember that. So.
Yeah, it's not easy to use. Really, if you're gonna try to play Wesker mode, just really, you said it, Link. Yeah, just fucking unlock the infinite submachine gun. It's so much more useful.
Anyway, the book.
book. Anyway, the book. Yeah, the book is actually pretty good for what it is, trying to novelize a complete mess of a video game. But it's decent. Like I said, Billy and Rebecca both get a little bit more interaction and character development, which is nice. And also because all of the books like switch between the various points of views of the different characters, so you can kind of also see what's going on in their head. So Billy's not just like stone cold killer guy. He like internally he's keeping his cool, but inside he's like, that man just became leeches. What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, we done with 0, I think.
Yeah.
All right, next up chronologically is, come on, move it up, move it up. Bam! The Umbrella Conspiracy, the novelization of Resident Evil 1.
Yes.
And one of the novels that actually prompted me to try and make a video on Jill Valentine's dad, which I didn't make because it would have been like a minute and a half long. But I feel like at this point, with all the different ports of the game out there, everyone should really know what the plot of the first game is by now.
Yeah.
Stars goes to mansion, zombies happen, Chickenheart Vickers leaves, Chickenheart Vickers comes back.
Dog, snake, tyrant.
Yep. Yeah, it's the novelization of Resident Evil 1, with also a bit more contextual stuff, like the fact that they mention Jill Valentine's dad. His name is Dick. Don't try to Google any pictures of Dick Valentine. You won't like what you see.
Do Richard. Try Richard.
Yeah, I mean, he's never referred to as Richard Valentine,
but you know.
Yeah, but anyway, so her dad was like a big-time cat burglar, and he taught her all the skills. And then he gets busted and goes to jail for life, and he's like, hey, Jill, you should, like, probably not do that shit anymore. Like, take your skills and join the police force or some crap like that. So she's like, okay, so she becomes a cop, gets recruited into Stars by Wesker. He's like, you seem like a real master of unlocking things. We could make use of your skills, Jill.
And then that just became a meme
Yep.
between all of the stars. It wasn't like Barry was the first one to say it. This was just like some shit they gave her all the fucking time, and she goddamn hated it.
Yeah.
I wish that was real.
Yeah, me too.
Like, they all just fucking picked on her, and she hated it. Like, alright, yeah, look at you, master of unlocking.
Yeah.
Just super sarcastic and shitty to her about it.
Yeah, the book actually gives us the best iteration of that particular meme as to, like, because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people were asking, why the fuck did Barry have lockpicks?
Yeah.
In the book, he hands over a set of lockpicks. He's like, oh, hey, here, Jill, it's the set you gave me to practice with.
Yeah.
You should probably have these because you can actually use them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that makes sense of why Barry might have that in his pocket.
You do get a whole lot of the Wesker, like from Barry's point of view, Wesker blackmailing him.
Yep.
And stuff, which is neat.
Yeah.
I remember that bit.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't particularly like about this novelization, and some of the other ones that came after, they made Wesker real fucking creepy. Like, unnecessarily creepy.
Yeah, you'd think he would have been trying to blend in more at that point.
Yeah, like, there's one scene, I think, when he runs into Jill just after he blackmailed Barry. He just walks around the corner, and he's got, like, his sunglasses propped up on his forehead, and he's just got, like, a big grin on his face. Yeah. And then Jill's like, oh, Wesker, that's kind of creepy. And then he instantly just, like, goes blank face and puts his shades back. And I was like, oh, hey, Jill, what are you doing here? It's like, I don't like that, Wesker. But also, like,
Strangeman.
They made him kind of rapey, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's one point where he, like, sees the zombified version of, like, one of the female scientists.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, like, she was always hot. Too bad she's a zombie now. I would like to hit that again. It's like, Wesker, no, just stop. You don't need to be thinking about that shit in this kind of situation, man.
Well, you know, he's a fucking psycho. So.
I mean, he really is, but I don't know. I just never saw him as that particular kind of psycho.
He was a fucking, like, sociopath. I'm sure he was a womanizer and, you know, didn't give a fuck about anybody else but himself. So
yeah.
It kind of makes sense that would be, besides the fact he's got a whole plan to use all this shit anyways, he's not too worried about a lot of it. So,
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. He was going for complete global saturation.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was, in more ways than one, ladies and gentlemen.
Seed.
Yep. But another cool thing about this novel is that, like, the fucking stupid-ass puzzle with, like, the suits of armor that, if you fuck it up, releases poison gas. Jill just gets around that literally just by breaking the glass that the stupid item is hidden behind.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I could, like, sit here and look at these paintings and move these armor statues around, or I can just take my gun and... Thank you.
Which, you'd think it'd be made out of some other kind of glass.
Yeah.
She couldn't do that, but... I know that's one of the, like, I like the nod to, like, why doesn't she even try shooting it in the games?
Yeah.
Like, nothing. I mean, technically you could, but obviously it's not going to work.
Yeah. You know, you need to get to the roof, just take a chair out on the balcony and climb up.
There's many things you can do.
Yeah. The novel also gives you a bit of background on, like, Chris, which you don't really get in the game. It's like, you find out that he is ex-Air Force, and I can't remember if it was an honorable discharge. I think it was a dishonorable one for punching his commanding officer, I think. But, I mean, that actually also goes a long way to explaining why the fuck does he know how to fly a jet in Resident Evil 6?
Yeah.
It turns out that's what he did. That's the thing that really bugs me about the games. You get all this background information and context for, you know, the villains, but, you don't really ever find anything else about the heroes.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's just, look at them, they can do these things.
Yeah.
Of course they can. They're a hero.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, that just mildly annoys me, and that's one of the things I really like about the novels, is giving a bit of background, because, like, if you go to the frickin' Resident Evil Wikipedia page and, like, look up Jill Valentine, you alright?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Dylan's getting home, so the dogs are gonna bark.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, literally the only thing the official Resident Evil wiki site says about Jill's early life, her dad was French and her mom was Japanese. That's it. That is all the background you get on Jill before she joined Delta Force, which in the game continuity is where she gets recruited to stars from. But that's it. Just her dad was French, her mom was Japanese. That's it.
Yep.
Just fucking awesome. But the novel does not actually end like the game does, because in the game, depending on the character you're playing as, determines the survivors. Like, if you're playing as Chris, and the good ending, Chris, Jill, and Rebecca make it out, and if you're playing as Jill, then Chris, Jill, and Barry make it out.
Yeah.
But in the novel ending, all four of them get out at the same time, so that was also a nice little thing that the old novels do.
Yeah.
Alright, next up, continuity-wise, was... Come on. Caliban Cove. This one was fucking weird, man.
It was strange. I don't think it's the strangest of the bunch. But,
No, not by a long shot. But and this is one that is not based on a game at all, other than the characters. But Rebecca ends up joining up with a team of stars from, I think they were from Maine, and they were led by a Britishman named David Trapp. Very, very cool guy. Was like an old friend of Barry's for back in the day. Which also something the books do that the games don't. Like, in the game continuity, Stars, like the entirety of Stars, was just Alpha and Bravo team, and all were like handpicked by Wesker. But in the novel's continuity, Stars is like a worldwide organization with teams like all over the United States and in different parts of the world. And that idea actually got kind of worked into like how the BSAA operates in the game continuity. So that's really cool, but they also have the characters of John Andrews, Steve Lopez, and Karen... it's either Travis or... No, it's Travers, because Karen Travis is an author. Spoiler alert, most of them die.
Yeah.
David and John end up making it out, but Steve and Karen get got. So anyway, they go to this place in Maine, literally called Caliban Cove, and there's an umbrella lab hidden there, and the lab is run by a guy named Nicholas Griffith, and he's fucking around with the T-virus in a way that he can inject people, and as long as like they're maintained, they don't rot.
Yeah. And
they're also like stupidly susceptible to like orders and shit. So he's trying to make almost legitimate super soldiers. Like, there's one really, really kind of disturbing scene where he like gathers the 3 head scientists who have been infected in his office, and one of them just crapped themselves because they weren't told to go
Right,
to the bathroom,
yeah.
and he's like, I see this doctor has soiled himself. This is funny. And then the zombies are like, yes it is.
Yeah. Shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but no, that guy is probably one of the most fucked up people in the entire novel series, because he's just like, it's not outright stated, but it's very heavily implied that he is banging his infected co-workers on the side.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're not, yeah, I know, they're not technically zombies, but, you know, that,
it doesn't matter.
that's not consensual, and also, you know, fluid transfer, it's kind of, that's how people get infected with, like, other shit. So it's just, the more you think about that aspect of it, just the worse it gets. So I'm going to move on from that part. So anyway, they infiltrate the cove, they end up getting captured. Rebecca has kind of like an almost romance with the Steve character, which Steve just gets cock-blocked in the best possible way by John. Like, they're like about to kiss or something, and John just like pokes his head around the corner. He's like, hey, get your clothes on, kids, you got company. And it's just like, so good. I fucking love the character of John. He's probably one of like the most upbeat characters in the entire story. Like, even in later novels that he's in where shit gets starting like really bad. Like, there's a point in one of the later books where they're like about to make a last stand, and he's just like, well, if I'm going out, at least I'm gonna go out blowing up monsters. Yeah. But you know, Caliban Cove, it was a weird one, but it was a really, really good one, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of a look
It's
at...
good. I remember a lot from the beginning when they're first, like, invading the place.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, how freaky that was. But,
Yep. And then there was also the bit at the beginning where Barry's house got attacked because that's where they were meeting, and it was either mercenaries or it was actual Umbrella security guys went and shot the place up. And I think that was how they actually got the info on Caliban Cove. Like, you know, video game logic, one of the fucking people had like a file or an address or some shit on him, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Rebecca's like, yeah, I mean, we definitely shouldn't stay in Raccoon City, so I'm gonna bounce with the guys from Maine. Sounds good? Good plan? Great plan. I'm out later. And then there's also the bit where like, oh yeah, no, I think it was Jill's like, yeah, I stopped by Chicken Heart's house, and they go to Chicken Heart's house after Barry's house gets attacked, because I remember Chicken Heart, Vickers, had a really fucking ugly yellow couch, but he had like cleared out of his apartment like fucking weeks ago, like immediately after the events of the first game. He's just like, yeah, I'm gone laters.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, which also kind of presents a weird continuity scarl as to like why he comes back to Raccoon City in the Nemesis novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of fucking what happens when these novels are getting written as the games come out. Anyway, yeah, Caliban Cove, good stuff. I enjoyed it. And then the next one, I think, is our favorite one. It's the city of the day. Yeah, the novelization of Resident Evil 2, which I still have in its horribly mangled, taped-together state.
Hey. You can still read it.
Yep. Yeah, this is the novelization of our favorite game of all time, I think.
Yeah.
And it's also another really, really well written one. Like, it's another one that kind of goes out of its way to address some weird inconsistencies. Like, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years since I read this one. Isn't Marvin already dead by the time Claire finds him? Or is it Leon that finds him? I can't remember in the book.
God, yeah, I can't remember.
I'll look up a brief plot synopsis, but yeah,
If they even mention it.
Yeah.
But no, this one's great.
Yeah.
I like the real creepy bits with Chief Iron.
Yeah.
Like, as much as it's awful and everything, but like,
yeah.
The whole thing with him turning the mayor's daughter into essentially she was going to be his fuck doll.
Yeah,
After she died, and I think it was he did make like an effort to save her or something initially, and then she like didn't want to stay with him or something, and got fucked up trying to get away from him, and he was like, well, I'm going to take her body and stuff it just like I did to all these animals on my walls. And
yeah, he was like, he was
her
definitely...
perfect skin.
Yeah, she will be mine frozen forever in whatever pose I choose. It's like he was already a real fucking creep, and I could totally buy the angle of him, like, having sexual assault charges on him before this all began.
Yeah,
like
sure.
That's the one I don't mind where, like, I don't even think that particular part's mentioned anywhere in the games at this point. No, it was an optional file that was put into the 64 version of Resident Evil 2 that says, like, hey, maybe look into, like, this creepy shit the Chief did back in his college days.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is still, I mean, it's the story of Resident Evil 2, so yeah. I think by this point, everybody pretty much knows that story.
Yep. Especially with the remakes now.
Yeah, especially with the remake, and I mean, the book just gives you a more up-close view and more of the thoughts going through the characters' heads and everything.
It was actually this book that, weirdly enough, canonized the name of the tyrant that was chasing Claire around. The book named him Mr. X before any of the games did. Yeah. So that was a cool thing they actually brought over from the novel continuity into the game continuity, was his name. And then, you know, Mr. X gonna give it to you. He gonna give it to you. Fuck with, yeah, you know where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, no, this one's also really awesome.
It's really fucking scary. The first time I read it, I mean, it's not anymore, but when I was a kid, the first time I read it, it scared the shit out of me. I'd read it like crazy and I would read it back to back to back when you lent it to me.
Yep.
And just have nightmares. But I fucking loved it.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits is one that just, like, it almost doesn't really matter at all, but, like, Claire having to, like, pause and, like, actually, like, pick through the remains of, like, a mangled corpse to, like, try and find ammo for her handgun. One thing I don't like, Claire has a shotgun. Claire does not get a shotgun in the games, but, you know, the art's still really cool anyway, so I don't mind that much. And it's a nice juxtaposition how she's holding it low versus Leon holding the gun and I. Also really cool, we actually get a look at Leon's background that we don't ever get in the games. Like, you get to find out why he became a cop. Like, it was because his uncle and dad were both cops, and he wanted to do it too. And they actually gifted him the freaking Magnum, which he has at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, and he's like, my uncle and dad got this for me as a graduation present, which I wish, like, I don't need all that exposition in the game, but it would be nice if Leon had, like, I don't know, an optional item, like, under his file menu that's, like, a photograph of him and his dad and uncle, like, at his graduation from police academy.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah, because, like, you know, you get a little bit of it from Leon in the remake when Ada's like, why are you helping me? And he's like, I'm a cop. This is exactly what I joined up to do. And it's like, yeah, you joined up to help people, Leon. You and every other fucking Greenpeace volunteer in the world. What's the deeper meaning? And it's like, oh, yeah, photo, cop, dad, uncle. I understand now. It would lend those words a little bit more weight.
Yeah. But it's also fine that...
Yeah, it's still fine. It's totally fine. Also, I love that artwork of Willie Burke back there.
I love just the artwork on the cover in general.
Yeah. But
it's very good. Yeah. City on fire.
Yeah. Also, one more thing this novel introduced. The reason why Jill decided to stay in Raccoon City or come back to Raccoon City... The prologue of this book is literally her going back to her old apartment to get underwear.
Yeah.
That is the reason why she was in Raccoon City when all this went down. She wanted underwear, which... That's not a good reason, but it's a hilarious reason, and I'm absolutely 100% willing to buy that.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things, one of those kind of similar to it's my last day before retirement.
Yep.
All I needed was a pair of underwear, and now I'm in this shit.
Yep. But, yeah, no, this whole... I mean, this is the best novel, in my opinion.
It's the best out of all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on the best game, and I think that... I mean, just the setting and the chaos and everything that happened in Raccoon City, it's the coolest thing that happens in all of Resident Evil, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... There's so much cool shit going on.
Yep.
So, and this game captures it better than Nemesis does, and the book, I think, captures it better than Nemesis does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that...
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of which, next up, continuity-wise, is Nemesis. Let me find... Bam! Nemesis. It's I wasn't able to find like a super good quality picture.
I mean, honestly, a lot of these covers are kind of goofy looking anyways.
Like Nemesis in the clouds is just so fucking funny to me for some reason.
Because it almost looks like the light is coming from him.
Yes.
And, yeah, he's kind of God.
I mean, no, but
he was kind of God in this circumstance.
Yeah, no, like the unstoppable killing machine.
Which, I mean, look at God.
Yeah.
He's been killing people for a long time.
And eternity, you might say.
Nobody has stopped him yet.
Yeah. Could Nemesis be God's avatar? Maybe. We don't know.
God likes his gums.
Yeah, I mean, psychological warfare and all that. I don't know. I miss the old face of Nemesis versus the face of Nemesis from the remake with his like weird off-center nose.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't hate that, but I also like the original better.
Yeah, the original design for Nemesis, in my opinion, was the better design. Although I do think, after having played the remake many times, like the aesthetic of him just like being wrapped in tarps rather than having like a custom-fitted leather trench coat and all that stuff. I was like, are you really gonna like go out and get this weird monster measured by like a professional tailor to get him a kick-ass trench coat? I mean,
he might have, because it was supposed to be like fire resistant,
and
everything like that,
and
so
bulletproof and all that. But
so to protect their asset, it's basically armoring him up.
Yeah, and
so I could see them doing that.
Yeah, it also weirdly functioned as like a limiter to like keep him from mutating out of control, and at least that aspect, like the wrapped in tarp look, kind of serves that a little bit better than the custom fitted trench coat. But the custom fitted trench coat was still really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's his thing.
Yeah,
like, it's his look. So
I mean, he cut a very imposing figure wearing that outfit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the novel is a retelling of the video game, which I think I actually like the novel better than the video game. Like the video game, the old one and the remake are still really good. They're not quite comparable to Resi 2, but I mean, still getting to like be out in the city and like going through like the weird back alleys and going to like the power station and all that stuff. That was a really cool glimpse at the chaos that Raccoon City had become. But that's only like really the first quarter of the game in the remake, and maybe the first half in the original one before it becomes much more linear.
I've said it before, but the felt like the remake really, especially the remake, because I mean in the original it made sense, there's only so much they can do.
Yeah.
But in the remake it's like, man, they really could have made Raccoon City like this huge thing.
Yeah.
And that would have been so fucking cool, but
yeah, that's
they just didn't.
Yeah, that's still the main complaint about the remake, is that they like took out the clock tower segment, the graveyard segment, the dead factory segment.
Why are you taking out so much of the running around of the town, which was, in my opinion, the like best part of the original?
It's because remake was made by like the remake of 3 was essentially entirely outsourced to a different like game developer, and they were working with a much smaller team and budget.
I don't know why though. Like, okay, Resident Evil 2, the remake just did fucking amazing. It made all the money. Let's just do that, but not spend anything on it. Not that they didn't, but you know what I mean? Like, why not go all in with this one, too?
It's because they were actually in development at the exact same time, essentially. And Capcom was trying to recapture that whole, like, amazing bit where it's like, okay, like, Resident Evil 2 came out, and then literally less than a year later, BAM! Resident Evil 3, right on the heels of Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, so I mean, was it a good call? No. But do I see what you were trying to do, Capcom? Yeah, I get it. It's just maybe fix it. Like, there's been rumblings about a big update coming to Resi 3, like maybe a director's cut version where they actually put in like the clock tower in the graveyard. I hope that rumor's true, because that'd be really fucking cool if you guys did that. Anyway, the book. Seeing Raccoon City through the eyes of Jill and Carlos just kind of made it a little bit more real, like especially when they like meet up in the restaurant and Carlos is like looking around and seeing all like the silverware scattered all over the place and the restaurant just looking torn up, and then Jill comes in, he's like, oh hey, what's up baby, which, man, do I miss Carlos's flirting in the remake. So sad. He had so many good lines. Yeah, he's a serious boy now, which for a professional soldier is a good thing. But man, the optional meeting at the newspaper office, if you go there instead of the fucking restaurant, where Joel's all like, "Hey, I need to ask you something." Carlos is just instantly like, "You want to ask me out, right? It's the accent. All the ladies love the accent. It drives me crazy." And it's just like, Carlos, what the fuck are you doing?
Look around, dog. Like,
is this really the time for this?
Talking about Wesker being creepy.
Well, Carlos, in the original telling of the game, was a much younger man. Like,
yeah.
I think he might have been like 21 or 22 in the original version.
He was definitely supposed to be pretty young.
Yeah. But also, the unsung hero of the Resident Evil 3 novel, Nikolai. Boy, was Nikolai fucking creepy. And that was one I was actually okay with. Because, like, he managed to sideline his creepiness when it was appropriate. So, like, when he gets all pissed off that he lost the sample of the fucking T-virus vaccine, like, all the creepy thoughts about, like, you know, like, these other agents that are running around, one of them was pretty hot, maybe I should bone down there. Oh, fuck, I lost the vaccine. Well, shit, there goes my retirement plan. I gotta, like, figure out a way to salvage this shit right now. So, Nikolai, you had your creepy moments, but you still tried to do your job when it mattered. So, good on you, Nikolai. Fucking awesome. Loved Nikolai in the novel. I loved him in the games too, but novel Nikolai is probably my favorite iteration of Nikolai. Anyway, just probably my third favorite novel of the series. That my second favorite is coming up here in a minute. The next chronologically was Code Veronica. Ba-bam!
Which is a lot of fun. And also another great cover.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
There isn't any PS1 graphics on the cover.
Yeah, this was actually like
a
full illustration.
Yeah.
Like, Code Veronica, the game was kind of... It was fair to middling. I mean, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But
I like it better than Zero.
Yeah, we do like it better than Zero. But one thing the novel definitely improved on, fucking Steve. God, Steve was awful in the games.
Yeah, he was.
Like, just, like, when he starts shooting at Claire with a machine gun and she shoots back with her piddly little 9mm, he's like, "Whoa! Don't shoot!" It's like, oh god, this guy's just gonna be awful, and he's not gonna stop being awful.
And that's the correct assumption.
Yeah, but at least in the novels, you get a peek inside his head. Like, when they do that moment, like, he instantly thinks, like, I give? God, that was lame.
Yeah.
But, like...
At least he's self-aware.
He is self-aware, and, like, his whole, like, kind of, you know, late teens douchebaggery he's got going on through the entire game makes sense through the lens of the novel, because for the entirety of the novel, there's something Steve is just trying very, very desperately to not think about. Like, he'll get, like, a quiet moment, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, like, I remember that one time. Nope, I'm not revisiting those memories. And then you find out it was his dad who tried to betray Umbrella and got both of them, you know, thrown into fucking Rockford Island prison, and then he eventually has to kill his zombified dad. At least his behavior makes much, much more sense in the novel. Like, he's still awful, but you can very plainly see why he's being awful. It's just a defense mechanism to not think about the fucked up shit that happened to him and his dad.
Yeah, fair.
And also Alfred. Man, seeing through Alfred's eyes in this book, oh, boy is he creepy. He might be one of the creepiest people in the fucking novel series, next to the guy from Caliban Cove who's banging his zombified co-workers. God, Alfred's creepy. I fucking love him, though. Yeah, so Alfred was pretending to be his own sister, and they may or may not have banged when they were children. Yeah. Just, Alfred. And I don't feel like I have to say much more about Alfred, except he runs the place. That's really about it. Also, Steve, he did a lot of staring at Claire's ass in this novel. I approve. Did you ever...
Fair, over the years, we've done the same.
Yes.
I mean, the most of the shots in the games and stuff are from behind her. You have no choice.
Yep. But did you ever play... I think it was Darkside Chronicles that revisited Code Veronica, right?
Was that... Which one was that? Was that one of the Wii
Yeah, it was one of the Wii games.
Okay. Yeah, I played those a little bit, but I didn't play them much.
Gotcha. There's a bit in the Code Veronica segment where Claire is leaning over a table to do some shit with a computer, trying to email like either Leon or her brother Chris, and the camera like gives like a very, very nice centered shot of her butt, and then it just pans over to Steve, and Steve just like just 100% checking her out, and then she like turns around and looks at him. He's like, yes, you should email your friend Claire. Yeah, no, that's I don't know. I liked it as a teenager, but like revisiting it as an older man, all of Steve's like checking out of Claire. Like, okay, you get it. She's pretty. You don't have to reiterate just how pretty she is every other time we get to see the story from Steve's point of view.
Yeah, but also not just like
but also he's a teenager, so it makes sense that he's doing that. It's just kind of uncomfortable nowadays for us older men, more distinguished men.
Yeah, I'd say we're definitely distinguished.
Yes, we are very distinguished. But Code Veronica, great novel. Lots of cool character development going on inside the heads of all these characters.
Yeah.
And then the last one, chronologically, is Underworld.
This is the strangest one.
Yeah, no, this one's fucking weird as hell. But right off the bat, one of my favorite things is how all those screens are just, like, art from the other covers.
Yep. We got
Except I don't know where this one came from though. That one's
That's the snake from.
Are you sure that's the snake?
Yes, but it's flipped.
Is it?
Yep.
All right.
The other one.
Let me see real quick.
Because the snake looks weird as shit. See? It's a snake. It's just flipped.
Yeah. I guess you might be right. Anyway, so yeah, this one is strange to the point, like, this one might have been heading toward Resident Evil 4 territory before Resident Evil 4 was even a thing.
They're just going through, it's just like like a video game where it's like, okay, go to the next room, now you gotta kill these things.
It's
go
literally,
to the next room, now it's these things.
It's literally a video game. It's Leon, Claire, Rebecca, and the fucking STARS team from Maine go out to like the Utah salt flats or something, and there's a big fucking lab under there, but it's also like a zoo. Like the whole point of this lab was to develop these bioweapons and then like release them into these like essentially biodomes where like prospective customers could show up and like see these things doing whatever it is they do and be like, yes, I will take 4 units of those Hunter Gammas, please.
Yeah.
And it was run by this guy right here. At least I think that's
just Giovanni from Pokemon.
Yeah, he's called Jay Reston in the Resident Evil universe, but yes, he is Giovanni from Pokemon, essentially. Like he's at the top. He's the CEO of the big underground lab, which I think was called like the Planet or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was something dumb like that.
Yeah, so I can't really even remember why the fuck they go to this place. Like, they had a small team. I don't think they had like the necessary equipment to level like a fucking giant underground city.
No.
I mean, they might have been going here to capture Reston, but I don't.
Or just gather intel on the place or
like,
something.
Man, this novel was so fucking bonkers. But it did do a very cool thing with Claire and Leon, where like it almost tried to force like this weird love square between like Leon, Ada, Claire, and Steve. Because like Leon very obviously fell for Ada. Ada died, quote unquote. But also he experienced Raccoon City with Claire, so they had that bond. And then Claire got captured, went to Rockford Island. Code Veronica happened. She met Steve, started kind of loving Steve. Then Steve died. Thank God. So then they meet back up, and like I think you're seeing this from David's point of view, how like they're in the back of the van, like checking their weapons and all that stuff, and they're sitting closer than like normal friends would sit. But there's not really any like sexual tension between them at that point. It's just two people who have grown very close over like the whole course of Raccoon City and subsequent games. So that was a very cool glimpse into what Leon and Claire's relationship would have been were it not for Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go to the fucking place. They shoot up a whole bunch of monsters. A bunch of monsters get loose, and literally, like, a BOW T-Rex fucking eats Reston.
Yeah.
Which,
hey, that ended up becoming a thing.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, fucking Dinobot Simmons in Resident Evil 6. Like, this novel did zombie T-Rex before, actual Capcom did, so good job predicting the future. But yeah, no, this Underworld's just a fucking roller coaster of a ride.
Yeah, I remember, like, it's been forever since I read it. I remember thinking it was really weird, but I liked it. It was a bit of a romp.
It was definitely a romp. And that is the last chronologically of the novels, but we would be remiss if we did not mention one very important character who showed up in basically every single one of these novels. You remember Mr. Trent?
Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned him in the Caliban Cove one.
No, we didn't. Did we?
I thought we did.
No, we mentioned Dr. Griffith.
But he's the one, like, feeding. He, like, works for Umbrella.
Yeah, he's like one of their top dogs.
Feeds intel to the STARS members and stuff.
Like, gives Jill a map of the mansion. He gives Carlos information on Raccoon City at the beginning of Nemesis. I think he feeds the information for the underground base and Underworld to the STARS team. And it's not actually until this novel that you actually get to know about his motivations. But like, he's he's one of the members on, like, the CEO board of Umbrella, and he, like, worked his way to the top from behind the scenes because his dad, I think, was one of the original people who, like, discovered the progenitor virus along with Spencer and Marcus, but they actually, like, killed him so they would be able to keep the research to themselves and not have to share the credit. So then you're like he's fantasizing, like, he's sitting on his balcony, like, drinking some fine wine or some shit, and just, like, going over in his head, like, when how all of this stuff comes to a head, he's gonna, like, reveal himself to the board and be like, yes, it was me all along.
Yeah.
And also, hilariously, he gives special mention to the heads of fucking Umbrella's Japan branch, Kamiya and Mikami. Those are the two guys who invented Resident Evil.
Oh.
So there was a nice little nod to them in his, like, internal fantasizing monologue. I'm really sad we didn't actually get to see that particular story, like, come to an end with these novels. They got canceled before that.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. They should let her just write another couple of them.
Yeah.
And, like, wrap everything up.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard that would be for her to, like, get back in the mindset to do it again. I mean, I'm sure she still knows where she was taking it.
Oh, yeah. And I know she, like, I think one of the other reasons that she never really considered doing more of them, like, on her own was that she, like, S.D. Perry is a really fucking prolific author, like, not on the level of Stephen King or anything like that.
Wow.
But she writes a whole bunch of, like novels set in various different universes. Like, she's done Aliens, she's done Predator, she's done Resident Evil. I think she's done some shit for, like, StarCraft and Blizzard over the years.
Nice.
Like, she's still cranking out video game and, like, movie-based novels and shit like that still to this day. So I have no doubt if Capcom actually gave her the go-ahead, she'd be like, yeah, I got this shit. Give me like 5 months. I'll have something for you. And then, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's been our little look at the old Resident Evil novels. Still really fucking good to this day.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun. I mean, I know that they're, like, riddled with spelling and grammatical errors. I remember from reading them.
Yeah,
when I reread them again, but
yeah, I think they've.
That's probably more that they didn't have a very good editor.
Yeah, like, I actually read a basically brand new copy of Nemesis last week before this podcast because, like, all my old novels are somewhere in storage, but Dolly found the novelization of Nemesis, I think, at, like, Salvation Army and bought it for 50 cents. She's like, I thought you'd like this. And be like,
nice.
This is mint condition. And it was, I think that version came off the presses in, like, 2017, 2018 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And there's still the horrible grammatical errors, but the spelling has been fixed at least.
That's good.
Yeah, no, if if you ever get the chance, you should 100% go check these novels out. They're worth at least one read.
If you're a Resident Evil fan, you'll enjoy them, and they're quick reads too. They're
Yeah.
like 300 pages.
I finished Nemesis in I think 3 days, and I only read it for 30 minutes a day each time. It was super fucking quick.
If you just sit down and do it, if that's what you want to do for a day, you could probably finish 2 or 3 of them in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you were to just spend your day doing it, you might be able to get through all of them.
Yeah, the longest one is City of the Dead, and I think it clocks in at just under 450 pages or something like that.
Yeah, and that's for it's not some giant book with small text.
Yeah.
It's just think the original Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent books.
Yep.
Check them out.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. So,
Yes, sir.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and drop us a comment. And I'll see you on the next one, whatever the next one ends up actually being.
Farewell.